Welcome back. So for this video, I decided to tell you guys about 5 pieces of media that really shook me. Some of them are movies, but I think most of them are documentaries. Now, these 5 pieces of media, the reason why I chose them is because they actually had a profound effect on me. I remember watching them and, days after, still thinking about it and sort of being haunted by them. Some of them really depressed me. Some of them, I don't know. It felt like some of them were like driving me to the brink. Was melting my mind because I just couldn't fathom, what I was seeing with my eyes, what I was hearing. And I'm not going to be giving a drawn out and long-winded synopsis for each of these. You can look them up if you so choose, but I would say that many of them, maybe one or two, but most of them is just going to be really painful to sit through. And not in an annoying way. Like, it's I think if you have any conscience left and your moral compass is still working, then I don't think it's gonna be a pleasant experience to sit through these pieces of media. And I'm just going to tell you about what I can remember, because I refuse to watch any of these again, mostly because I don't know, like I said, it's horrifying and it's really sad. Most of them really sad stuff, but I'll get more into that as I talk about them. So, the first one that I'm going to talk about is Salo, or 120 Days of Sodom. I've seen people talk about this movie on like, what do you call them, disturbing breakdowns, these film channels, where they go into great detail about what it's about, and but for the what it's actually about is it's set during World War II, and there are like these elites. I think they call them libertines or something like that, from what I can remember. So there are these elites, and they have this, if I remember correctly, they have this mansion. And so one day they just decide to go out and abduct, like boys and girls, If I remember correctly, they were like teenagers. And so they abduct them, and it's a whole group of them. So there are men and women, and there are the libertines. And they're all adults and stuff, but I mean, these people are like sick to the core. I mean, they are the most degenerate, evil freaks, that I think, that have ever been portrayed in film. Like, you will hate these people. And you'll hate them because once they abduct and take these young people hostage, right? They just start subjecting them to the worst torture like you can imagine. You know, first it starts off like, you know, even the way it starts off, I mean, this movie is obsessed with shit, okay? Like actual shit, you know? I remember from what I can remember is like, I remember these people getting abducted, and then like one of the main libertines, like the big guy, he's making this big speech about freedom or something, or pleasure or something. And then he like squats down and he takes a dump. He takes a dump on the floor. And if I remember it correctly, like, because he like takes off his pants, takes a dump, and then I think he picks it up, and then he either eats it or he puts it on a plate, something like that. But even just thinking about that right now is making me so nauseous, right? It was so shocking. But then there's like this dinner scene. They're like in the hall, and like it's like this dining hall, and everyone is just getting plates like full of shit, man. And they start eating the shit, man. It's like it's dinner time. And I remember like and they're forcing the young people, the girls and the boys, to eat it, and it was so fuck it, man. It was so disturbing, man. Fuck. And then what happens is they like go up and they complain to these like these hostage takers, these libertines, these freaks. They're like, I can't eat this, man. And then they keep just telling them like, no, you have to eat the shit. And and that's not even the worst of it. That's like, this is the entry level to Salo or 120 Days of Sodom. This is just like entry level shit, man. A scene that really disturbed me. That really disturbed me. And I think that's as far as I'm gonna go in explaining this thing, because like, I actually don't want to remember. I actually, sitting here, I regret making this video right now. I don't want to remember this shit. But there was a scene that stuck with me, because a lot of worse things happen. Like, there's this horrific shit that happens, and oh man. But there's this scene where a boy and a girl, like those elites, are standing there, and they're basically, you know, they're basically telling that boy and girl to engage in love making, okay? And the girl goes because, and it was so sad to me, because like they've been abducted, and now they're forcing the boy and the girl to make love with each other. And she goes and she lays down, and he's actually very gentle, you know, he's super gentle with her, you know, like considering the circumstances, right? And yeah, like, so it's about to happen, and it's bad enough. It's bad enough because like I think it's also implied that they're virgins, you know, because they're young. And yeah, right before like it's actually initiated, those libertine fucks run up to them, to both of them, and start sodomizing them. And it was like, when I saw that, I was just like, you know what, the person that made this movie, because I know it's also based on a book, but I thought to myself, the person that made this movie, like, should be put up against the wall. Let's just say that. The person who made, because it's the most disgusting shit. It's like the violation of innocence. And I don't know why, but it's always like these sexual stuff that get me, you know? Like, it's so, because I'm not gonna sit here and pretend, you know, oh, I'm desensitized, you know, like nothing affects me, you know? It's not like that. No, this shit was fucking horrible. And, yeah, when I was watching, oh my God, after that happened, I started losing hope. But I sat through the thing. Because I remember that time, I had this degenerate plan as well to watch as much disturbing content as I possibly could. But I'm telling you, like, oh, that was so messed up. And, you know, a lot of worse things happened in the movie, but for me, that stuck out. And I just, you know, after that, I just wanted to turn it off, and I, like, had enough. I had enough of that shit. And days after watching that, like, man, I wasn't, my view was skewed. My view was super skewed on things, if you know what I mean. Like, I'm not saying I started, like, thinking in the lines of what the movie was promoting or spreading awareness of, but I didn't feel right. Something was very, very wrong with that book, with that movie, like everything there, you know, because they're saying, like, oh no, this is an art movie, dude, like, we're just this is just commentary, man, it's a satire. I remember that was a big thing. Everybody said, like, it's a satire about the elites. And it's like, fuck, dude, like, have you seen the movie? Like, this goes so far beyond anything satirical. This is sick, man. This is fetish shit. Yeah. But anyway, that was Solo. I would say, do not waste your time with that shit. Don't watch it. It's terrible. Like, honestly. It's really, really bad. In all forms. Now, the next thing, alright, that I wanted to talk about was Earthlings. Now, hands down, Earthlings was the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. Not in terms of, you know, the actual composition of the documentary, but the content and what was displayed. I mean, it's the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. I think after watching Earthlings, out of all of these, I think that's what affected me the most, you know. It affected me more than any gore video. It affected me more than any media that I've ever seen at any age. And Earthlings is a documentary that was released in 2005. Okay. I think it was Joaquin Phoenix that was doing the narration on it, right? Because he's an animal rights activist, right? So now I probably already gave it away. But what Earthlings is about is it's a constant bombardment of real life footage. I heard they used, I think, some hidden cameras, you know, for some of it. But essentially what happens is, so they're exploring basically the exploitation of animals, just like in the world, you know. Like, what is it again? Those five industries. Like, I actually have to look it up again, but I think it was something like food, pets, entertainment, clothing, and I think research or animal testing. And this is something that I don't even like. When I watched this, I was inconsolable, man. Like, it felt like I was going insane in my mind seeing the stuff that I saw here. Like, this is the worst thing. If you love animals, and I really hope it's true, but I think most people do. I think most normal people do. You love animals, you don't want to see them hurt and stuff. And yeah, it's just like the abuse, the evil that has been done to these things. I actually don't want to mention almost any of what I saw. But it was the fur trade, what they do to those animals. It was the mental effects that these animals were suffering from the abuse. It overall it was, if you go on YouTube and you search long enough, you'll see these video titles about, oh, this manga that I read broke me. Oh, this movie that I saw broke me, or this short story, I'll never be the same. It's like, okay, dude, I get it, man. Maybe the manga did this to you and whatever, but and it's not a competition. Obviously things affect people differently, but if you watch Earthlings and you don't feel anything in your soul, you don't feel anything in your heart, you might think I'm crazy for saying this, but you shouldn't be, you shouldn't be on this planet. Like, you are far gone. You feel nothing. Or it's not that you shouldn't be on the planet, but you shouldn't be near people. Like, you're essentially you're a psychopath if you watch that and you feel nothing. Because that's actually a good test for you guys. So for those of you who ever see this and you think, I'm crazy, dude, go watch Earthlings, okay? And if you're not sobbing, laying in a little ball with your knees up against your chest and asking yourself, why, then you pretty much know, okay, no, this guy is hard as a rock. In fact, it's more than that. He has no conscience. He doesn't give a shit about anything. You're a psycho. All right. So that's a good test for people. If you ever wonder if you're suffering from something, you think you have a self-diagnosed mental illness, go watch that stuff, and then, we'll see. Or at the very least, we'll see if you're empathetic. Well, actually, that's the worst thing ever. If you think you're suffering from a mental illness, do not go and watch Earthlings. Okay, so that kind of spun, right, out of control now. But, yeah, my point is just, it's the worst thing, hands down, in terms of mainstream media that's been released that I've ever seen in my life. I never want to see it again. And in fact, after watching that's what initiated my veganism. So I was a vegan for maybe 2 or 3 years, I think. After watching that, I refused to, well, actually more like a vegetarian, but I refused to eat meat because it felt to me that I was just taking part in a system that was hurting animals. And yeah, it really, I don't know, it was terrible. Maybe don't watch it. That's all I can say about it. Maybe don't. That messed me up. I can never forget it. But as being like 8 years, maybe 7 or 8 years since I watched it, maybe it's a good thing that it is starting to fleet. It's fleeting. Anyway, the next movie or the next documentary I want to talk about is actually one of like my favorites. Don't really know if you can have favorites in this line of media, but it's called Orzocko the Embalmer. Yes, I remember watching this maybe like 2 years ago, because I was still, I don't know, I was on my quest to find something super hyper real, a documentary, or that was the criteria I was using to find documentaries to watch, or something like that. And I stumbled upon Orzocko the Embalmer. Now, if I remember correctly, right, is this documentary follows Orzocko, because I think that's his middle name. I don't even think that's his first name, but it follows him. It's like a embalmer, as the title suggests, and he's with his assistant. But it's like a Mondo film, like, it's like this proper documentary, camera, the camera work. I don't really know how to explain it, but essentially, let's just keep it simple. It's a documentary about Orzocko, him and his assistant, and they're embalming bodies, and it's happening in Colombia as well. And I don't know which year it was taking place, but I remember there were a lot of victims of crime, a lot of murders, and if I have it right, I think there was a surge in femicide, like a lot of women were being killed and stuff. And I'm telling you, man, like, this documentary is so bleak. It's so bleak, it's like ice cold, like it's ice cold in the way that it's shot and presented. Like this, it just shows him, cutting open the bodies, taking out the stuff, and that on its own isn't so rough. I mean, it's very tough to watch, someone obviously who was once living, their vessel or their corpse just laying there, they're not moving, obviously, and the life's just out of them. And, that was somebody's son or daughter or mother or brother, they had a family and stuff. It is actually very sad. And I think that's the most intense part about Orzocko. It's depressing. It's shocking, yes, but it's super depressing. And I also remember there was a scene in there, but it wasn't Orzocko. It was another mortician embalmer guy. And he was doing work on a female body. And what made it very disturbing, very off-putting, is like the comments this guy would make. He was talking about her genitalia. He was talking about, like, it's a shame she's dead because she has such good so-and-so. And I just thought, like, that's fucked, because, it's a dead body and that is still on his mind. But, I'm not defending anybody or whatever, but you can imagine, what can happen to your head if you're seeing dead bodies all the time, or, people that were murdered. And I mean, it's your profession. And it was just, it came out of left field. And it's very, 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 very bleak. Although, I quite like Orzocko. He was really cool. You could see, it was kind of like the stoic guy. I don't know. Yeah, you could see he was doing his job. He was doing his job like it was nothing, but somehow, we'll never know for sure, obviously, but you could see this guy was a nice guy, man. He was a nice guy, he'd be the old guy, if you were like in a lot of trouble in your life and you're going through it, man, and you stumble upon Orzako there sitting on his chair, and then he'd be like, tell me what's bothering you. And you'd be like, my life's messed up. And then he'd be like, let me show you something. And then he'll give you a cigarette and you'll take a little walk and he'll be like, it's gonna be all right. And then you go away from that. It's like, wow, so that's Orzako. Okay, that was a really stupid example I just gave. But what I'm just trying to say is that he looks like a nice guy, okay? And in saying that, what makes this documentary so sad, right, is he actually dies while they're filming it. He doesn't die on camera or whatever, but he has like this strange condition in his stomach that I'm remembering now. It's like a hernia or cancer, I can't remember, but he keeps pulling his pants up and he like tightens the belt around his belly or above his belly. And his assistant and I think his family or his wife or whatever kept commenting on it. They kept commenting on it. It's like, you gotta do so and so. And then he actually fucking dies. Like in the documentary. And it's heartbreaking. Like, it's really sad because the thing is, like, you're not getting like overwhelming amounts of information about him, but I mean, he's the lost leader, man. He's like the shining star, man. He's the star of the show, and then he just, he's the point of familiarity, and then he just dies. He dies somewhere along the documentary, and what's sad about it is like seeing the people's reaction, because like you could see they thought of poor Orzako really, really fondly. They really did like him, and his poor assistant, man. Damn, that guy's like crying, man. He's, if I remember correctly, he actually cries, and like who wouldn't, but you can see he respected him because he taught him everything. And there's this really sad scene. I don't know, like, in the documentary, they're just filming his equipment and his jacket and stuff, and and it's so shocking and depressing because like one minute you're seeing him. You have no idea when you start watching it like that's gonna happen. So it's such a surprise, and it's just like, fuck. And I remember after watching it, a couple of days later, obviously, I'm not saying we, it's impossible to know these people and exactly who they were and whatever. But I did think like a couple of days later, like, fuck, man, where's Orzako, dude? Like, what happened? Like, I wonder if he was still around, like, what he'd be doing. Very general thing. And I think what makes that feeling linger is also knowing that, people around you, they're gonna drop too. And it's not gonna be on a documentary. And then what the fuck are you gonna do? And how are you gonna feel? So, that was Orzako, the embalmer. Now, the next two I'm actually going to talk about are actually quite similar, all right? But there's a certain cultural significance to the last one. So the next one I want to talk about is Bulgaria's Lost Children, all right? So I'm not sure exactly which year it takes place, right? I think it might be early 2000s, maybe? 2003 or something like that. And it's like this investigation, because around Bulgaria, like, there were a lot of people, a lot of children, right, that had, something wrong with them. You know what I mean? Like, they had a mental disorder, physical disabilities. They like all sorts of problems and stuff. And like these poor little children, would just like be sent to or delivered to these orphanages, and essentially would rot there. This particular documentary, Bulgaria's Lost Children, there was something very, very, very sinister about it, because what ends up happening in this documentary, like they show footage, like these kids, they're like stuck in a room, right? There's no stimulation. There's nothing for them, man. There's no TV, there's no radio. I don't think there are even toys, I don't even think there are toys around there. And they developed this, and this is something that I remember that stuck out to me in that documentary. Is like they would sit and they would rock back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and the rocking would get like intense. It would get like exaggerated, it would get like super fucked, where they're going like all the way forward and all the way back, almost like, they're having like, it's like this coping mechanism, because they're not being stimulated in any way, and there's no love, there's no love for these kids. There's nothing, man. Nobody cares about them. And that leads me into the next thing about this documentary, is where they let those poor kids, like the people in charge of the institutions where a lot of these poor little children wound up, would abuse them, would like, hit them and lash out at them, which is so sick if you actually think about it. I understand that a kid can get annoying, okay? I understand that better than I think anybody, And sometimes I also think, man, I'm just gonna give this little twerp a push, It's such an annoying, disrespectful, blah, blah, blah. But these kids are messed up, man. And then you're working there, and then you're taking out your frustrations on the children, Like, the guy who did it in that documentary, like, I think he even ended up being fired because of the journalists that were documenting this. They reported it to the head of the orphanage or something like that, and so you better believe that only happened because they put pressure on them, and they were like, "This is messed up. You can't let this happen." And that was, for me, extremely disturbing, like these kids have nothing. They're going insane out of not receiving any care, any love, any stimulation. And I don't know if it ended on a positive light, but you should see it, man. These poor kids, they're emaciated. They're alone, man. They got nothing, man. Abandoned, And I remember after watching that, I like my outlook on life, right? Because that's how messed up it was. It started to improve a little bit, because bad shit would start happening to me. And at least like closer to the time that I watched it, when bad shit would happen to me, I would just remember, listen, I was not abandoned as a child. I received my stimulation. I received love. Like, it's not so bad, man. It's not so bad, And I mean, that's also not the correct way to look at life, because everyone's different and stuff. But yeah, man, to me, this was just like, it was beyond the pale. It really, really depressed me when I watched it, man. Those little kids got nothing, man. Some of them are blind and they're emaciated, man. Like, yeah, like, also, so far, the only one that I can really say you can watch and not be like destroyed by is probably Orzako. But yeah, that was Bulgaria's Lost Children. A brief explanation. Like I said, I don't remember anything. I'm going off of memory because I'm also just giving my personal opinion on this shit. I'm sure there are other channels that I think it might even be on YouTube for you to check out, because the next thing that we're talking about definitely is on YouTube, as far as I remember. And it actually has some significance to where I am right now. So I am just going to be using, different words, some different words in some places, because I'm just a little bit afraid, okay? Because I don't know what would happen. I'm fresh here, man. So the next thing, that I want to talk about is the dying rooms. All right. Now, the dying rooms take place, all right, in the place that's in my channel name, okay? Because that place, that particular country, right, had a policy, okay, where if you were a couple and you had a child, you could only have one. All right, you could only have one. And so that resulted in a lot of problems, okay? And you'll also see it in the documentary itself. So it kicks off and it shows us like, okay, you're only allowed to have one child. But then what happens, what happened when you had twins? What happened if you accidentally fell pregnant again? Or not well, yeah, because sometimes it's not planned, right? You're a couple or you're married. And this documentary in particular, it was very, very, very sad and disturbing. Let me tell you. So in the event that you did have more than one, a lot of people, fearing the wrath of the people, the people holding the gun, so to speak, would go to these weird, like, shrine-esque things, and go dump the baby there. And maybe sometimes someone would come pick it up and take it to an orphanage. Or sometimes it would just be this poor little child would just be left to rot, just left to die. And it's actually quite similar to the previous one we talked about, but I think maybe it was better that child was left at that weird shrine thing and got there. Or not better, because the alternative would have been that poor little child, like, was sent to an orphanage, and then what would happen at the orphanage is those poor little kids would get tied, they'd get tied, their feet tied to these bamboo seats and whatever, and they'd be they'd be peeing on themselves and pooing on themselves, for the whole day. And once again, there would be no stimulation. There would be no stimulation. They'd have their diapers changed. The people who are taking care of them, there's no love. There's no love. Once again, they don't give a shit about these kids. They're cattle. They're nothing, man. They're doing this. Imagine you're a janitor and your job is to clean off shit off the floor. Are you telling me that's that same level of enthusiasm that you're gonna have cleaning your shit off that floor? That's even more enthusiasm that these people had who were taking care, or in quotations, taking care of these children. They didn't give a shit about them, man. In fact, they were probably so happy, when it's one less child, These kids are emaciated, man. Same. Malnourished. There's nothing for them, man. And there's nothing coming for them. And how I understand it is that in that time, you couldn't adopt either. the people in that specific country that we're talking about right now, I mean, they would always opt to have their own child anyway, because culturally, that's their end goal anyway. That's like the biggest thing that they could ever do, and that's like, everyone's pressuring them to do that, right? And so they would just rot there, rot and rot and rot. I think somewhere in the documentary, which is The Dying Rooms, I'm just gonna repeat that. One of the children were actually like left in this dark room, never tended to, never taken outside, maybe fed here and there. And they just died, man. They just died there. They were left there. Like, they're laying in little cots, and their poor little legs are like tied to the side of the cot. I mean, so they can't move. They can't even turn around. They're just like on their backs, just laying there crying for hours and hours and hours, and nobody's coming. And the same with Bulgaria's lost children, even Arzako, and maybe for The Dying Rooms as well, and I'm sure Earthlings had. But an interesting thing to think about as well is like, I'm seeing all of this stuff and it's fucking me up. Like, it's hurting me. It's hurting me to see this stuff because because I'm not insane, right? I'm not fucked in my head. But can you imagine what these people who are actually there, in the immediate vicinity, like what they were feeling like when they were seeing this shit? Like, can you imagine what the victims, because that's what they are really, what these poor abandoned animals, these poor abandoned children, these abused animals, these people that have been murdered, like what they must have felt like. And I think that's at the end of the day, right? So that's what also plays into the whole thing, the whole theme, right, of the video. It's just like, after watching some of the stuff, I didn't really go into how it affected me personally that much, but you get the idea, you understand. Like, you can leave it up to your imagination, most of it, and you'll probably get it right, because I think most of you would react the same way after seeing this stuff, you know what I mean? And I would suggest not watching it, okay? I would suggest, like, taking these vague and very short descriptions of this stuff and just running with that. But if you so choose to watch it, right? If you so choose to watch any of this stuff over here, I would just say, maybe just make sure there's nothing I could say, because nothing could have prepared me. I thought I did my research before watching it. I thought I had seen enough to prepare me, but nothing did. So if you want to watch it and you want to do some psychological experiment on yourself and see, then you should go and do that. But I'm saying rather not. So for the next video, I'm gonna be talking about 5 things that I saw in real life that just messed me up, that really affected me afterwards, and maybe I can go into more detail with that one upon what it did to me. But there you go. So thanks for watching, and see you next time. See ya.